and I've been shared the screen. So actually, for the sake of this explanation and all, so I have referred few websites and I took some guidelines from other websites. So based on that, I have prepared this document, so which is easy to understand and what is what that we need to understand. Basically, when we started with Selenium WebDriver, as I said, we have two types of things. One is normal scripting. Second one is framework scripting. In normal scripting, where we are going to write the scripts individually, but coming to framework, in framework we have different types of things like keyword driven framework, data driven framework, and all. Here, that is what we are being discussed, and we are being shown in this program, like in this diagram. Normal framework, which is having test script plus test data, and Selenium WebDriver, which is application under test. But coming to data driven framework, along with the script, we need to pass the data from the Excel sheet or something else. We need to pass the data. So by using Apache PY, that is what, just a simple representation what we have been mentioned here. Second thing, what is mean by data driven framework? This is what we need to know from the scratch onwards, from the basic things onwards. So as I said, like, data driven framework is also known as parameterization, but it is mainly focused on separating the test scripts logic and the test data from each other. So what I mean to say here is, like, we have discussed this example for multiple times. Like, I have one single username and password. If I'm trying to log into the application with that username and password, I can easily able to log into the application. If I have 100 username and passwords, then in that case I need to separate the test data and I need to separate the test script. Means both I need to maintain individually, where the test script logic and the test data from each other, separated from each other. That is what I have mentioned here. And it allows us to create the test automation scripts by passing different sets of test data, not only with 100 usernames and passwords. You can change the username and password, you can change the data, you can pass multiple sets of data. So anyways, you are passing the data from the Excel document, means you are passing the data from some external source, which is nothing but data driven source, which is nothing but the concept of parameterization. The test data set is kept in the external files or resources such as MS Excel sheets, MS Access tables, SQL database, XML files, etc. Any format we can use. But based on the format that we have been selected, the drivers that we need to configure. As I said, like example, for MS Excel sheets, we need to use Apache PY. For SQL database, we need to have JDBC connection. For XML, we need to have Apache PY. Like that, based on the external source or external files we are passing the data, we need to configure the respective libraries to our Selenium WebDriver or Eclipse. The test scripts connect to the external resources to get the test data. Exactly, that is what we have been mentioned in this program, in this diagram. So the test script, we need to point that to the external resources to get the test data from the external resources. By using this framework, we could easily make the test scripts work properly for different sets of test data. This framework significantly reduces the number of test scripts compared to the modular based framework. So why we need to create the test scripts again and again and again? Why we need to create modules again and again and again? To avoid such type of things, to avoid such type of repetitive tasks that we need to perform, that we are performing, we have the concept called data driven framework, where we can pass different sets of data to the same script. Here, the script is a reusable component, where we are reusing the script again and again and again, and to the same script we are passing different sets of test data. That is what we have been mentioned here. Why we need to use data driven framework? Usually we place all our test data in Excel sheets, which we use in our test runs. The same thing, like, we are going to put the data in our Excel documents and we are passing that Excel data to our test scripts to execute. Assume we need to run test scripts, say login test with multiple test data. Like I have 3 records or 4 records or 100 records or 500 records in the Excel document where I need to execute the script with 500 records. Means take the username and password, keep it in the application, log into the application, log out from the application. Second record, test script, execute, login, logout, third record. Like that, for every record I need to execute the script again and again and again. So based on the functionality what we have been designed, if we run the same test with multiple test data sets manually, is time consuming and error prone. In the next section we see the practical example, like what I have been mentioned. In the next section we will see the example over there. But in simple words, we adopt data driven framework. What we have to execute the same script with multiple sets of test data. So simple, whatever the point that we have been repeated, the same thing that we are going to repeat here. So we are passing the data from the external source to our automation script. That is what our main intention here. Next, what are the advantages of using data driven framework? We can reuse the script. As I said, like the script is the same script, but we can pass multiple sets of test data. Means we are reusing the automation script, or we are reusing the code, or we are reusing the program what we have been designed, but the data what we are passing is different. Improves test coverage, faster execution, less maintenance, permits better error handling. Suppose there is an error when you are passing the data, automatically it will identify that error and it will throw you that error in the output or console window. Next thing, to perform the task related to data driven framework, we need to have some libraries in our Eclipse software. Those libraries are nothing but Apache POI libraries. What is Apache POI? Apache POI is an open source library developed and distributed by Apache Software Foundation to design or modify Microsoft Office files using Java program. So whatever the Microsoft Office files that we are being used to modify or to use that particular software by using Java program, Apache POI libraries has been designed. It is a popular API that allows to work around Excel files using Java programs. In short, you can read and write MS Excel files using Java. Apache PY is your Java Excel solution. So if you want to read Excel files or the data inside the Excel file by using Java programs, Apache PY is mandatory. Apache POI is mandatory. So in the Apache POI, so we have different terminologies, like as we discussed, XLS document and XLSX document. So XLS is old version, XLSX is the latest version. So based on the version what we are being used, we need to use the keyword like this: workbook, HSSF, XSSF, sheet, row, cell. Like that, based on the keyword or based on the format of the Excel document, we need to use the proper words. So I have mentioned all the things here. What is XSSF, HSSF? I'll share the document to you guys. Go through these things, because these are the simple terminologies. If we are using XLS document, what we need to use. If we are using XLSX document, what we need to use. That is what we have been mentioned here. Next thing, how to work on data driven framework in Selenium using Apache POI. So you have Apache POI libraries and you have Excel data. Then how you need to work on Selenium in Selenium using this Apache POI libraries. Selenium automates browser. This already we know. It is a popular tool to automate web-based application. This also we know. To handle Excel sheets, to read and write data using Excel, we do use Apache PY. Yes, this is what we are discussing now. To access the data from the external source or to access the data from the Excel files, Apache PY libraries are mandatory. Assume you need to test a login functionality with 50 different sets of test data. As a manual tester, you do login with the all the 50 different sets individually for 50 times. But as an automation tester or automation developer, you need to create or design a test script and run it for 50 times by changing the test data, and each run of you create 50 scripts to execute the scenario. Simple thing. I am not explaining any complex cases here. I have a login screen and I have 50 usernames and passwords. I want you to log in with each and use each username and password into the application and log out from the application. As a manual tester, we need to perform the same task for 50 times. But as an automation tester, program is same, just passing the data is different. Automatically it will take the data, it will fetch the data, and it will retrieve the data from the Excel document, and it will execute the script. Retrieve the data, execute the script. Like that, 50 times it is going to be executed. One of the reasons we take automation is to overcome the time consumption issue. Yes, by following the above two ways, we don't achieve anything with automation. Like, we need to have everything: data driven framework, code reusability, program reusability, everything that we need to have. Then only we can say that automation process is very useful for our environment. Data driven testing helps here and save a lot of time for us. Next thing, how to create data driven framework in Selenium using Apache PY. Okay, so here we can take any application, not only Facebook. Just for our reference, for our guidance, Facebook application has been uh, taken as a reference here. So Facebook application, to showcase implementation of data driven framework in Selenium with Java using Apache PY. Open Facebook page and do login and log out. Follow the steps what have been mentioned below. So as it is, you need to follow the steps. So based on the steps that you have been followed here, the same thing that is going to be executed. Here the prerequisites are: we need to have Eclipse, we need to have TestNG, we need to have Selenium, we need to have Apache PY, and we need to have Excel document. So everything I have. So I'm going to open Eclipse now. Any questions till now, guys? Hello. Till now we discussed about introduction part of data driven framework. Do you have any questions in that?
No, sure.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Fine. Fine. Let us start this execution part. I will show you how you need to process everything. So after this, I'll share the document to you. Just practice it once or twice so that you'll be able to understand what exactly happened in this particular scripting part. So here already we have now open Eclipse and configure Apache PY libraries. I have done already this first step. And second step, open Excel sheet and create some test data. Here I have saved my Excel sheet. So whatever the thing have been mentioned here. So I'm going to create Excel document. New Excel workbook, test data. So the same format I'm using. If we want to provide any other things, we can provide. Sorry. Username, password, result. I'm not going to mention anything here. Just dummy email ID I have given. And I'm going to use some other website to log in. I'm not using Facebook here for our reference. Okay, I have created this document. And now create a Java class under your project. Here I have created Java class data driven test under my project. So I'm going to create one class file here. Data driven. So just data driven I'm going to provide. So this I'm going to save. So I have been saved. Done. Saving has been done. Here is a sample. So I have been designed one program. Let me open that program. So I'm going to use the same program here. And here I need to change the URL because I'm using some other URL to log in. So I'm using this URL. So I need to change the locator names or element name here. My document name is test data and I need to change it to G drive. And I need to look into that whether it is XLS or Excel document. It is XLSX document. The name is test data. Yes. Done. I need to give the username field. I'm using the same thing here. Yes. Next thing for password also, I'm going to take the password field. So I'm going to remove this one. I hope you understand what I'm doing here. I took one URL and I'm looking for the element names of username and password field, and I am changing the element names because previously I have designed the program on Facebook application. Now I have been changed the URL, so that is the reason I am changing. Okay, so just I am trying to log into the application. Yes, I have been logged into my application and I'll click on my account. Let me take this XPath. And then I'm going to click on logout button. Done. my program is ready along with the data what have been passed in my program. Here I need to explain what I have done in my program. Let us see. So this already we know. As per the document I have been designed the program, make sure that is it HSSF workbook or XSSF workbook or something else like that. So that is the reason I have been used with XSSF workbook, because it is XLSX format, XSSF sheet, and then XSSF cell. So these three things have been used here. Now I have opened the browser by using @ before test annotation, and then I have launched the URL and then maximize the browser. Page load time I have been provided. Once that has been done, I'm going to start a program by using test data file what have been created. So this is the path of the file what have been placed, saved, and then I'm going to read the data by using file input stream. And then as we know that workbook that we need to get it from XSSF workbook, so I have been used created the object with the name XSSF workbook. And then once I loaded this workbook, I'm going to read the sheet from that workbook. And after that I have created for loop integer 1, I is equals to 1, I less than or equal to sheet dot get last row number. Means here I am counting the number of rows what have been mentioned in the test data document. 2 rows I have mentioned there, and then I am passing the data into the application by using the elements what have been taken from the browser. So simple logic I have used here, just reading the data from the Excel document, and I'm using the same data in my automation script. I'm not creating any new things here, and I'm not using any new things here. Just whatever the workbook that have been used, the same logic I have been used. But here why I have started int I is equals to 1 means, in this document first row is username and password. So where I don't want to pass this particular username and password, I need to pass with Martin Stephen and then S James. Means index number 0 1 2. Index starts with 1, right? So that is the index starts with 0, right? So that is the reason I have mentioned int I is equals to 1. So I'm going to save this program now, and let us see the next step what we need to do here. And once I have designed the program, run the test script. So I'm going to execute the script now. The script is executing. Oh, okay. So Chrome driver, I need to make sure that I need to provide the path here. Copy the path. I'm using the path here. Done. Let us try it now. I'm going to clear the console. I'm going to clear this one even. Again failed. Why? The driver executable does not exist. Oh, okay. already I have mentioned here. Yes, it is going to. One moment, guys. Give me a moment, guys. Could you please let us. Ram Kotigar, what is the exact question?
How to debug the test script? How to pin
Oh,
on the
yep, tell me what is your exact question?
debugging the test script?
First, we are discussing about data-driven framework. First, let me complete this one and then I'll explain you because we have that process, right?
Yeah,
Still, I am trying to execute the script. I am executing this one, but my system is not having Chrome browser. That is the reason it is throwing me an error. So I'm downloading that one. Give me a moment so that it will get executed and I'll let you know about how to debug the script.
sure, sure. Thank you.
Okay. So actually, we are seeing error in the output. Why? Because it is stating me that unknown error cannot find out Chrome binary driver. So means my system is not having Chrome driver. So that is the reason it is throwing me an error, and we need to have that Chrome driver in order to install, in order to execute the script. So to avoid such type of things, we can execute the script in other drivers, even other browsers even. So I'm trying to execute in Microsoft Edge browser. Give me a moment, guys. I'm trying to pass the data from the Excel document, where the Excel document is having two records with two usernames and password. This is the test data file, and I'm trying to execute the script in the browser. So here I have been downloaded Gecko driver and I'm trying to execute the script in the Gecko driver itself. So I'm going to provide the path of the Gecko driver here. So Gecko driver.exe. The same thing I'm going to copy and I'm going to provide the same path here. So let me execute this one. Whoa, something configuration issue. Okay, let it be. Anyhow, I'll explain you the scripts, and then first I'll explain you the functionality, and then we will execute that one. So once I execute the script what I have been designed, then I'm going to the system is going to read the data from the Excel document. So the data what I have been mentioned in the Excel document will be read by this particular script, and it will store the data in the console window. Once we have been executed the script, the next step is we need to get the data, and we need to write the data from the Excel document to our automation script. The same process I am going to follow again. I am not going to change anything. So here I have created another column called result. In the result column, I am going to get whether the script is going to be passed or failed. I am not going to change anything. For that, for our reference, I am going to use one more program where it is going to write the data from the Excel document. Data driven. Right. So this is what I'm going to use the name, change the package declaration, and change the name what have been designed. So here we need to change the browser, and we need to change the URL. The same format have been used again. So I haven't changed anything, but the thing is I need to write the data. Up to here everything is same what have been mentioned. To log into the application, to read the data from the Excel document, to get the data, everything is same. To write the data from the Excel document, we need to follow few steps. The steps here is this one. So file input stream means load the file first, and then whether the file has been loaded, then pass the message as a whether the pass the result as pass or fail. If the page is not getting loaded, then read the data from the sheet level. Once you open the sheet, then every sheet will have, like every workbook will have 3 sheets. From the workbook document, you are going to write the data into this particular XPath, and then log out from the application. Means simple logic here. First you open the application, first you open the Excel document, and then you are reading the data, and then you are trying to pass the data to the respective field. You are not doing more than that. Whatever the data that you are trying to pass to that particular field, just we are going to mention, we are going to load the file first, and then we are trying to pass the data. If you are going to disable this one, what will happen? We are not going to see the result in result column. We are not going to see the result in result column. Make sure that we need to provide the message. If you don't want to see the result, then comment it, not required. Any questions till now? I'll share this document, but due to this configuration problem, I want you to have this one.